There comes a moment in every man's life when he must draw a line in the sand, not against others, but against his former self. That moment is now. The greatest battles you will ever fight are not against the world, nor against circumstance. They are fought within, in the silence of your mind, in the chambers of your daily decisions, in the choices you make when no one is watching. You were not born to drift, you were not born to settle, you were not created to exist in idle routine or wasted potential. You were made to grow, to evolve, to refine yourself second by second, with the precision of a master craftsman shaping the stone of destiny. Greatness does not arrive by invitation, it is seized by those who command their thoughts, master their emotions, and discipline their actions. Every second of your life is either taking you closer to power or pulling you into mediocrity. And the difference is made by a single force, your will. You must force yourself to be better, not when it's convenient, not when you're motivated, but when it's hardest, when your excuses scream louder than your goals, when the pain feels heavier than the prize. That is where champions are born, not by accident, but by decision. Let this moment be your awakening. From this second forward, you will no longer wait for change. You will become the change. From this second, you will rise with discipline, walk with purpose, and think with unshakable intent. You will force yourself to be better every hour, every minute, every breath, because the man or woman who does this becomes unstoppable. True transformation begins the moment you take control of your mind and demand growth even in the smallest decisions of your day. It is not the grand, sweeping changes that shape a man into a giant of success. It is the disciplined refinement of thought, the unrelenting pursuit of improvement in the ordinary, the conscious elevation of every decision, no matter how trivial it may seem. You see, the mind is the workshop of all destiny. It is within the chambers of thought where failure is first born, but it is also there where success is forged. Every victory you shall claim outwardly must first be won inwardly. The battlefield of life is not the world outside. It is the space between your ears, and those who do not seize control of that space are slaves to circumstance, puppets of emotion, and victims of distraction. The average man moves through his day unconscious of the power he wastes. He moves from one moment to the next, driven by habit, numbed by routine, distracted by noise, and weakened by comfort. He makes choices not with purpose, but with passivity. He eats what is easy, speaks what is familiar, does what is safe, and thinks what is popular. He does not realize that every action he takes, or does not take, is shaping the structure of his character. He forgets that in every second of the day he is becoming something, and the tragedy is that most men become less, not more, because they never awaken to the power of small decisions. They chase transformation in a single leap, never realizing that the stairway to greatness is built by thousands of intentional steps. But the man who understands the value of the present second, the one who recognizes that transformation is a demand he places upon himself daily, becomes unstoppable. He does not wait for motivation. He does not beg the world for opportunity. He does not pray for easier circumstances. He commands himself. He disciplines his mind. He takes control of his inner dialogue. When he hears the whisper of weakness, he responds with the roar of resolve. When he is tempted by comfort, he chooses the path of resistance. He forces himself to grow not by dramatic leaps, but by refining every detail of how he lives. He understands that if he masters one decision, he can master 10, and if he masters 10, he can master 1,000. That is how greatness is built, not in waves, but in constant pressure applied with relentless will. The man who transforms does so in the quiet hour when no one is watching. He forces himself to rise when the body craves sleep. He chooses the work when others choose distraction. He sharpens his mind with books while others scroll mindlessly through noise. He speaks truth when lies are easier. He holds his tongue when anger rises. He directs his thoughts toward what he wants to become, not what he fears. He understands that the smallest decision can redirect the course of an entire day, and a single day, lived with intention, has the power to alter the trajectory of a life. There is a power that exists within every human being, a dormant force that lies waiting beneath the surface of passivity. This power awakens when a man makes a firm decision, not a wish, not a hope, but a decision to be better every second. He becomes a sculptor, and his life becomes the marble. He chisels away at weakness, carves out discipline, and polishes his character through repetition, focus, and inner conviction. It is not a force given to him by others. It is not dependent on the opinions of the crowd. It does not bend to the mood of the moment. It is born the instant he takes personal responsibility for everything he thinks, everything he feels, everything he does. And the more responsibility he assumes, the more power he unlocks. Every second of the day is an invitation to elevate or regress. It is an opportunity to prove to yourself that you are worthy of your vision. And the man who does not act on this truth becomes a slave to doubt. Doubt feeds on passivity. Fear multiplies in the absence of intentional action. But confidence, conviction, and courage are born from demanding more of yourself when no one else would. The smallest choices, how you start your morning, how you speak to others, how you handle difficulty, these are the bricks of transformation. One disciplined second becomes one disciplined minute, and one disciplined minute becomes one disciplined life. Success is not something you stumble upon. It does not fall from the sky, and it does not arrive uninvited. It is summoned through effort, it is called forth by clarity, it is forged through fire, and the fire is lit every time you decide to grow instead of stay the same. Every second in your day is a chance to make that choice. It is a chance to do something difficult when easy would be acceptable. It is a moment to say no to mediocrity and yes to mastery. The man who trains himself to be better in the small things prepares himself to rise in the big ones. He becomes reliable to himself. He builds a foundation of self-trust, and from that foundation all things are possible. There is no power greater than a man who has decided to live with purpose, not just in the major events of life, but in the seemingly minor moments that others overlook. While others waste their seconds, he multiplies them. While others complain, he creates. While others react, he chooses. His mind becomes a fortress, his actions a reflection of purpose, and his life a testament to discipline. He does not need recognition. He does not wait for approval. His reward is in the becoming, and each day, each second, he becomes a little more aware, more focused, more aligned, more unstoppable. When you take control of your mind, you unlock the most powerful force available to man, the ability to choose who you will become, and once you realize that you have this power, you can never again claim helplessness. You can never again say you are waiting. The second you decide to become better, even in the smallest act, is the second you begin transforming your future. You will notice your thoughts begin to shift. You will notice your words become more intentional. You will feel your energy rising, not because your circumstances have changed, but because your consciousness has elevated. You are no longer reacting to life. You are building it. You are no longer a passenger. You are the driver. A man who masters the moment begins to see opportunity in everything. Where others see struggle, he sees strength in the making. Where others feel boredom, he sees a chance to learn. Where others settle, he ascends. He does not need a stage or spotlight to grow. He needs only a second to make a better choice, to take a better step, to think a better thought. And he repeats this process endlessly, not because he must, but because he chooses to. Growth is no longer a burden. It is his identity, and as he commits to this journey, others begin to notice, not because he announces it, but because he embodies it. There is a quiet confidence that surrounds a man who lives intentionally. There is a power in his presence, a certainty in his voice, a fire in his eyes. He is no longer distracted. He is no longer pulled by the chaos around him. He is rooted in something greater, his own decision to be better, not later, but now. He is not perfect, but he is progressing, and that progress compounds. Every second adds to the next. Every action builds upon the last. And before long, he has transformed, not through force from without, but through will from within. This is the truth few are willing to embrace, that your life is made not in the years, not in the months, but in the seconds. And the man who can govern a second can govern his world. The man who disciplines a single choice can master any destiny. And once you have tasted the power of self, direction, you will never again surrender it. You will never again allow the world to decide who you are, because you have made the decision, you have taken the reins, and in doing so you have become something rare, someone who transforms not once, not twice, but every second of his life. Discipline is the silent force that separates those who wish from those who achieve. It is built by forcing yourself to act when comfort begs you to rest. The man who understands this truth understands the architecture of every great life ever lived. Wishes are abundant, but discipline is rare. The world is filled with men who dream grand dreams, who speak of ambition, who hope for success, but few walk the path with the steel resolve to act in the absence of pleasure, to move forward without applause, to rise when the world has not yet noticed. Discipline does not require the world to believe in you. It demands that you believe in yourself when no one else will. It is not born in moments of inspiration, but in moments of internal resistance, when every part of you cries out for comfort and you respond with relentless action instead. There is no greatness without discipline, no achievement without sacrifice, and discipline is not given, it is earned. It is forged in the fire of repetition. It is born in the decision to show up when you're tired, to keep pushing when progress seems slow, to continue acting when doubt clouds your mind. The man who forces himself to act when comfort seduces him is the man who builds a foundation no storm can shake. For discipline is not about what feels good. It is about what builds strength, and strength is only built through struggle. A man who never denies himself nothing is a man who will possess nothing. But the man who can say no to ease, who can delay gratification, who can resist distraction for the sake of direction, he is the one who will carve a future others will envy and yet never understand. Discipline is not a punishment, it is a privilege. It is the evidence that a man respects himself enough to master himself. In a world where most are ruled by their impulses, where decisions are made by fleeting emotions, the disciplined man becomes a king among beggars. He does not chase motivation, he manufactures it through movement. He does not need to feel like acting, he acts and the feeling follows. The undisciplined wait for a mood to guide them. The disciplined create their mood by obeying their vision. Every time you force yourself to act when comfort says stop, you are taking a step away from weakness and a step toward power. Power is not found in desire, it is found in execution. It is found in the ability to do what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it. And this is where most men fall. They confuse emotion for direction. They wait for the perfect moment, the right energy, the ideal environment. They believe that one day they'll feel ready, but readiness is not a condition, it is a decision. And the man who decides to act without needing to feel ready becomes invincible. He moves through life unshaken because he has learned that emotions are weather, but discipline is climate. Emotions fluctuate, but discipline holds steady. Emotions lie, but discipline tells the truth, and the truth is this: no man ever reached greatness by doing only what was easy. The road to power is paved with the bricks of self-control, and each brick is laid in the moments you say no to what you want now, so you can say yes to what you want most. Discipline begins in the mind, but it is tested in the body. It is easy to think of yourself as a strong man, a focused man, a man of vision, but when the alarm rings early and the bed is warm, when the workout is hard and the results are slow, when the book requires focus and the phone offers distraction, that is where discipline proves itself. That is where you see what kind of man you truly are, and it is in those small, invisible moments where the war is won. For each time you act in defiance of comfort, you deepen your power, you expand your control. You develop the inner strength that cannot be purchased, only earned. The greatest men in history, the ones who built empires, who changed nations, who redefined what was possible, they were not simply men of talent. They were men of discipline. They rose before the sun, worked when others played, sacrificed what others would not, and held themselves to standards so high the world called them obsessed. But obsession is only discipline focused through desire. It is not madness, it is mastery, and mastery comes to the man who is willing to bleed for his vision long before the world applauds it. In every moment of resistance, you are presented with two roads, one that leads to ease and one that leads to evolution. The path of ease is wide, crowded, and comfortable. It requires nothing but the surrender of your potential. The path of evolution is narrow, lonely, and demanding. It requires everything you have, but it gives back far more. Every time you choose that path, you earn a piece of yourself. You gain a layer of resilience, a level of mental toughness, a depth of focus that the average man will never know. And with each disciplined act, you shift your identity. You no longer see yourself as someone who tries *. You see yourself as someone who does *. You become the kind of man whose habits align with his ambition, whose actions reflect his words, whose life embodies his vision. Discipline is not limited to one area. It touches everything. It is the way you train your body, the way you use your time, the way you speak to others, the way you think when things go wrong. It is the thread that weaves through every part of your being. And when you embrace it fully, you become unstoppable. Not because you don't feel tired, not because you don't face temptation, not because you never fall, but because you rise with intention every single time. You hold yourself accountable. You do not wait to be reminded. You do not rely on others to guide you. You are guided by the compass within you, and that compass points toward excellence. The man who builds discipline becomes a lighthouse in a storm. While others panic, he remains focused. While others complain, he works. While others chase pleasure, he builds purpose, and in doing so, he creates a life that others admire but cannot replicate, because few are willing to pay the price he paid. But that price, the discomfort, the repetition, the sacrifice, is small compared to what it yields. It yields freedom. It yields strength. It yields a life of meaning, clarity, and legacy. To force yourself to act when every part of you wants to retreat is to prove to yourself that you are no longer controlled by weakness. It is a declaration that you are a man of decision, not a slave to distraction. Every time you choose to rise when others sleep, to push when others pause, to stay focused when others drift, you are casting votes for the man you want to become, and the more votes you cast, the stronger that man becomes. Soon your discipline becomes identity. It becomes natural. It becomes who you are. This is not a gift that some are born with and others are not. It is a skill. It is a muscle, and like all muscles, it must be trained. The beginning is hard. The beginning is always hard, but it is in the hardness that the transformation takes place. Most people quit when it gets hard, but the man of discipline steps forward. He welcomes the difficulty because he knows it is shaping him. He does not resent the challenge. He respects it because he knows that on the other side of that resistance is the man he was always meant to become. No one will ever hand you discipline. You must build it with your own 2 hands. You must fight for it in the trenches of daily life. You must reclaim it every morning, renew it every night, and protect it every moment in between. And when you do, when you live in defiance of ease and in pursuit of excellence, your life will reflect it in every area. Your mind will be clearer, your body will be stronger, your relationships will be deeper, your success will be inevitable, not because of luck, not because of talent, but because of the relentless force of a man who chose to act, again and again and again, when comfort begged him to rest. Every second is a seed. Plant it with purpose, or it will grow into regret. Your future is being built right now, one decision at a time. Life is not a single harvest reaped in one moment of luck or talent. It is a field wide and wild, waiting to be sown with intention, cultivated with discipline, and guarded with awareness. Every second that passes carries within it the power of direction. It either moves you forward toward the life you envision, or it carries you slowly, silently, into a future you never intended. And the tragedy is that most people will live their lives unaware of the truth that their future was never decided by fate. It was shaped by the countless seeds they chose to plant or ignore in the garden of time. There are no wasted seconds, only misused ones. Time does not wait, pause, or negotiate. It moves forward whether you are ready or not, and with it goes your power to shape what lies ahead. The man who recognizes the value of a single second understands something the masses ignore, that within that tiny window exists the power to make a decision that redirects the entire course of your day, your year, and your life. It is not the dramatic moments that define who you become. It is the invisible ones, the seconds that pass unnoticed, the decisions made in silence, the thoughts entertained when no one is watching. Those are the seeds. And when left untended they will still grow, but without purpose they will bear fruit of confusion, frustration, mediocrity, and regret. Most men live as if the seconds they waste are inconsequential. They sit idle in comfort, lost in distraction, numbed by routine. They believe they have time, so they delay action. They believe their dream can wait, so they postpone discipline. They believe their potential will one day reveal itself, so they do not pursue mastery today. But time has no mercy for those who delay. It gives no reward to those who drift, and when the future arrives, as it always does, they are met not with triumph, but with the bitter taste of what could have been. Regret is not born from failure, it is born from inaction. It is born from the knowledge that you had time and you let it slip by unclaimed, but the man who plants every second with purpose becomes a master of his future. He understands that what he thinks, says, and does in this very moment is creating a ripple that will echo into his days ahead. He does not waste time waiting for the right mood, the perfect circumstances, or someone else's permission. He begins now, he acts now, he decides now, and in doing so, he becomes powerful not because of talent, but because of intentional repetition. He becomes wealthy not just in material, but in momentum. For each purposeful second is an investment in becoming the man he envisions, and the compound effect of that investment is more powerful than anything the world can offer. Purposeful seconds look like the decision to rise when it's still dark, to read instead of scroll, to speak words that build instead of destroy, to hold your character when no one is looking, to think thoughts that align with your values, to write when you feel blocked, to move your body when you feel tired, to plan your day before the chaos begins. These are not giant tasks, they are small seeds, but small does not mean insignificant. The most powerful trees in the world began as tiny seeds planted deep in the soil. Their roots grew silently before they ever rose into the sky, and so it is with the seeds of your seconds. The roots of greatness are formed in secret, in patience, in repetition. You must understand that you are always planting something. Every second holds a choice to plant with intention or to scatter seeds carelessly, and what you plant you will eventually harvest. If you plant distraction, you will harvest disorientation. If you plant excuses, you will harvest stagnation. If you plant blame, you will harvest helplessness, but if you plant clarity, you will harvest direction. If you plant courage, you will harvest confidence. If you plant discipline, you will harvest mastery. There is no neutrality in the field of time. Something always grows, and when you wake up years from now, you will either stand in a garden of abundance or walk through a desert of regret. The difference is what you chose to plant, 1 second at a time. And do not be deceived by the silence of those early moments. Seeds do not make noise when they grow. They do not call attention to themselves. You will not always see immediate results. You will not always feel the reward. But just because the harvest is invisible today does not mean the seed is without power. Growth is taking place beneath the surface, silently building your character, sharpening your mind, and preparing you for the greatness you are constructing with your choices. Most men quit because they confuse silence with failure, but the disciplined man understands that silence is not failure. It is foundation. Every second also presents a test of will, a test of vision. A test of integrity. When no one is watching, what will you do? When there is no applause, will you continue to act with excellence? When comfort offers you a way out, will you remain loyal to your purpose? Every second that passes is asking you, who are you becoming? And if you do not choose the answer with action, the world will choose it for you through distraction. But if you take the pen of intention and begin to write your story second by second, you will find that even the most ordinary moments become sacred. You will see that time is not your enemy, it is your canvas. The most powerful lives are not built in the spotlight, they are built in obscurity. They are shaped in the seconds when no one is watching, when no one is applauding, when no one understands. The man who endures in these seconds, who keeps planting, who keeps moving, who keeps believing, becomes the architect of a future that no force can prevent, for he has mastered the smallest unit of time, and in doing so, he has mastered the greatest currency of life. He no longer waits for destiny, he creates it, 1 second, one seed, one choice at a time. You do not need to change your entire life in one day, you need only to claim the next second, make one decision that aligns with who you wish to become. Then make another, then another. It will not feel monumental at first, it may feel unimpressive, but that is the trap of the undisciplined. They only value what is dramatic. But the man who sees the power in subtlety, who honors the small choices, who treasures each second as sacred, becomes a force of unstoppable momentum. He is no longer pushed by the world, he is pulled by his own vision. When others ask him how he succeeded, he will not boast of luck or sudden success. He will speak of the early mornings, the quiet nights, the difficult seconds where he chose discipline over ease, clarity over chaos, and vision over vagueness. He will speak of the unseen work, the consistent planting, the refusal to waste a moment, and though others may not understand the depth of his commitment, he will know that his life is the product of purpose stacked upon purpose, of seconds redeemed and directed. And so the man who lives with this truth etched into his soul walks differently. He moves with urgency, not in haste but in clarity. He understands the value of now. He does not let time leak from his hands. He does not drown in distraction, he does not wait for rescue. He acts, he builds, he sows, and he waits patiently for the harvest, knowing it will come because he has done the work, he has planted the seeds. And he has done so not once, but over and over again, through fatigue, through doubt, through opposition. That is what separates him, that is what sets him apart. The man who lives each second with purpose lives a life that cannot be copied, because his power does not come from what he has, but from who he has become. And who he has become is the result of every decision he made when no one else cared, when nothing seemed urgent, when it would have been easier to delay. He did not wait for the world to value his time, he valued it himself. He did not wait for inspiration, he acted in the absence of it, and because of that he now stands where few will ever reach, not by accident, not by fortune, but by force. He forced himself to choose. He forced himself to act. He forced himself to plant the seeds of the man he wanted to become, second by second, until that man became real. You must become your own commander. No one is coming to push you. You must force yourself, drive yourself, and become the power behind your progress. The world does not owe you a push. The circumstances of your life will not always align themselves to your favor. The people around you will not always understand your vision, nor will they feel the urgency that lives within your chest. If you wait for someone to motivate you, if you wait for someone to lead you, if you wait for someone to call you to rise, you will wait forever. The men who move mountains are not waiting for signals. They are giving orders to themselves, declaring war on stagnation, and commanding their bodies, minds, and spirits to rise even when the world remains asleep. The greatest lie ever told is that someone else will save you. The truth is harsh, but it is liberating. No one is coming, and that is why you must become your own commander. A commander does not ask if he feels like acting. A commander does not wait to be told. A commander sees what must be done and moves with decisiveness. He understands that delay is decay, that hesitation is weakness, and that the only way to shape destiny is through relentless self-leadership. This world belongs to those who take ownership of their every breath, every choice, every second. There are no handouts for the man who waits, but for the man who forces himself to move, even in the face of doubt and discomfort, there are no limits. You must build the inner voice that shouts louder than excuses. That voice must be trained, strengthened, sharpened, until it cuts through fatigue, through fear, through complacency. Most people have allowed the weak voice to dominate, the voice that whispers, maybe later, this is too hard. Just rest a little longer. No one will know if you quit. That voice must be silenced by command, not ignored, destroyed, and it can only be destroyed when you develop the voice of your inner commander. That voice does not beg, it does not complain, it does not seek permission, it gives orders, it says, stand up, push harder, do it now, become more. Command is not about aggression, it is about certainty. It is about knowing what you want and holding yourself to it regardless of how you feel. You cannot negotiate with yourself and expect to win. The man who negotiates with his lower self is a man constantly pulled in circles, one step forward, one step back, never breaking through. But the man who commands himself breaks the loop. He no longer lives in reaction, he lives in direction. He no longer explains his lack of results with stories. He replaces those stories with standards. He no longer depends on willpower alone. He builds a system of decisions so strong that they become part of his identity. Becoming your own commander means creating internal laws. These are not temporary resolutions. They are non-negotiable codes of conduct. A commander wakes up when he says he will wake up. A commander finishes what he starts. A commander shows up at full capacity whether he feels like it or not, because he knows that excellence is not a mood. It is a command issued by the man he has decided to become. The body may be weak, the mind may be tired, but the commander within does not care about weakness or fatigue. He cares about mission. He cares about standard. He cares about legacy, and every action is taken in the name of that legacy. You must also understand that the world rewards the self-led. Those who wait to be told never become more than followers, but those who lead themselves rise beyond what others thought possible. Leadership begins with the self. If you cannot lead your own mind, you will never lead your life. If you cannot control your thoughts, you will never control your results. The man who becomes his own commander does not just take control of his time, he takes command of his purpose. He does not float between goals, he attacks them with precision. He does not dabble, he dominates, and that domination begins within. There is a war inside every man, a war between what is easy and what is necessary. A war between the voice of doubt and the voice of discipline. A war between the lazy version of yourself and the powerful one waiting to be unleashed. And the outcome of that war is determined by who gives the orders. If your lower self commands your day, you will fall into patterns of distraction, self-pity, avoidance, and weakness. But if the commander within steps forward, the tide changes, you take charge, you start to realize that your power was never missing, it was simply unclaimed. And once you claim it, once you look yourself in the mirror and say, I am responsible for everything in my life, then and only then does progress become permanent. The commander within does not get excited by motivation. He gets moved by mission. He does not chase temporary emotion. He is driven by unshakable clarity. He creates routines, not wishes. He makes plans, not excuses, and when the chaos of life comes, because it always comes, he does not collapse. He adapts, he recalibrates, he advances, because he is not operating on feelings, he is operating on orders. He does not need the world to be easy. He has trained himself to be strong. The difference between failure and success often lies in one invisible moment, the moment you either wait to be told or you tell yourself to move. Every single day presents this moment, and if you are not giving yourself the command, you are obeying someone or something else. That could be fear, laziness, anxiety, or distraction. But whatever it is, it will take the throne if you do not claim it first. You must rise and seize control. You must program your mind with thoughts that align with victory. You must instruct your body to move even when every muscle protests. You must speak to yourself not with softness but with strength, with precision, with conviction. This is what separates leaders from followers, not the absence of fear, but the presence of command. Leaders feel the same fatigue, the same self-doubt, the same discomfort, but they override it with orders. They force themselves into motion. They do not ask for less weight. They become stronger under pressure. And that strength is available to you if you are willing to stop waiting. Waiting is death. Waiting is surrender. Every second you spend hoping that someone will inspire you, save you, or motivate you is a second lost forever. But every second you spend leading yourself, holding yourself to a higher standard, forcing yourself forward, builds a life of momentum, progress, and purpose. Becoming your own commander also requires unflinching honesty. You must see where you are weak without justifying it. You must acknowledge your shortcomings without hiding behind your past. The commander does not lie to himself. He does not pretend things are fine when they are not. He confronts the truth with courage. He faces the mirror and says, "This is who I am today, but it is not who I will remain." And from that point forward, he begins issuing new orders, orders to grow, orders to rise, orders to take action when every excuse feels justified. It is this brutal self-honesty, paired with relentless self-command, that transforms a man from average to elite, and there will be resistance. Your mind will rebel, your habits will scream, your environment will pull you back, but the commander is not interested in comfort, he is committed to conquest, and every time you obey the command to move forward despite resistance, you take a piece of your life back. You reclaim territory that weakness once ruled, you expand your personal power, you deepen your sense of identity, you begin to trust yourself in ways others cannot comprehend. No one can build this for you. You cannot borrow someone else's discipline, you cannot rent someone else's command. This must be earned, forged in the moments you feel like quitting but move anyway, in the moments you are scared but speak anyway, in the moments you are uncertain but act anyway. It is these moments that define the commander. He is not perfect, he falls, but he never waits for a rescue. He gives himself the order to rise again, to fight again, to move again. And over time, this becomes who you are. You no longer need to try to be disciplined. You are disciplined. You no longer hope to be focused. You are focused. You no longer wish for leadership. You embody leadership. And it all began the day you stopped waiting and started commanding. The day you realized no one was coming to push you, and that was your greatest advantage, because it meant you had all the power, all the control, all the responsibility, and with it all the freedom. You are the general of your mind. You are the captain of your soul. You are the only one who can give the orders that shape your destiny. And once you accept this truth, not as theory but as law, you will begin to experience the transformation that comes only to those who lead themselves. You will move differently, think differently, live differently, not because the world changed, but because you did, because you finally took the throne of your own life and declared that no one else will dictate your rise. You will, through command, through discipline, through force of will, through the relentless decision to become your own commander every single day. You have within you the power to rise, to transform, and to dominate every second of your life, not by chance, not by luck, but by conscious, relentless effort. The life you desire will never be handed to you. It must be claimed through discipline, forged through focus, and commanded through will. Every moment is an opportunity, an invitation to become more than you were the second before. And that choice belongs to you alone. You must force yourself to be better, not once, not occasionally, but continuously, because greatness is not a single event. It is a lifestyle. It is a decision you make with every breath, every thought, every action. When you take command of your mind, when you value every second, when you act in the absence of comfort, when you lead yourself with conviction, you unlock a power that cannot be denied. You become the creator of your life, the commander of your destiny, and the master of the force within you. This is your moment, not to wait, not to wish, but to act. Force yourself to rise, to grow, to lead, every second of your life, because the man who does this becomes unstoppable.